Welcome to the deep dive. When you sit down in a boardroom and the projector sort of hums to life and someone puts up a slide with a massive, an 8-figure budget attached to it, there's this implicit expectation of gravity.
Right, you expect there to be some actual weight behind that.
Exactly. You assume the numbers on that screen represent a tangible reality, like a database, a history of user events, a verifiable ledger, just backing it all up.
A foundation of truth, essentially.
Yeah, you might debate the strategy or argue over the interpretation of the data, but you trust the fundamental existential reality of the numbers themselves.
Which, as we're seeing right now, is a very dangerous assumption to make.
It really is. Because right now we are looking at a landscape where that foundational assumption is just completely broken. Across the business world, highly paid professionals are standing in front of those projectors, pitching massive resource allocations based entirely on imaginary data.
It's a systemic vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it has quietly infected almost every major go-to-market motion.
And we are operating here in Q2 2026, so we've definitively exited the magic trick phase of generative AI, right?
Oh, absolutely. The honeymoon of 2023 and 2024 is totally over. The tools are embedded in our everyday workflows now. But the cracks in the foundation, specifically how these models handle quantitative data, they are causing real structural damage to balance sheets.
Yeah, we are moving from a world of data-driven decisions to a world of hallucination-driven disasters.
That is exactly what it is, a hallucination-driven disaster.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission for this deep dive is to basically immunize you, the listener, against these AI analytics hallucinations.
Which is so crucial right now.
We're going to break down the technical architecture of why this is happening. And we'll map out the mandatory separation between AI insight generation and raw data retrieval.
That technical distinction is everything. It's the core focus of what we need to get through today.
Right. And to do that, we've got some incredible sources on the desk today. We're looking at cutting-edge internal editorial strategy memos, some really fascinating LinkedIn thought leadership playbooks, and this highly cautionary piece titled The Peril of Confident Fiction, Verifying AI Marketing Data.
That piece on confident fiction is just terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, it really sets the stage. But before we get into the system architecture and how to fix the machine, we need to look at exactly how it's breaking in the real world.
Yeah, we need to see the symptoms before we diagnose the disease.
Exactly. So I was reading this terrifying breakdown in the sources recently. It was about a startup founder pitching a major channel expansion strategy.
Okay.
And the founder is just standing there, delivering the pitch with absolute conviction. The slides are crisp, the narrative is tight, and right in the middle is this beautifully formatted chart.
A chart showing what, exactly?
It was showing keyword volumes and projected customer acquisition costs. A chart that basically dictates a multi-million-dollar capital allocation.
Oh, wow. High stakes.
Very high stakes. And the founder points to a very specific number on the slide. 14,800 searches per month for their primary target keyword.
14,800.
Yeah. It sounds incredibly authoritative, right? It feels meticulously researched. But there was one catastrophic wrinkle in all of this.
Let me guess. The data just didn't exist.
The data did not exist at all. The founder had just casually prompted an LLM for the monthly search volume during their prep, and the AI confidently spat back 14,800 searches per month.
Wow. And they just ran with it.
Just copy and pasted it.
Yeah.
The entire financial model, the hiring plan, the ad spend, all built around a completely fabricated integer.
You know, the psychology behind that specific number, 14,800, is what makes this so insidious.
What do you mean?
Well, notice the AI didn't say 15,000. It didn't say, approximately 10,000. He gave a number that implies precision.
Right. It feels like a real metric pulled from a real dashboard.
Yep. Exactly. Generative AI is remarkably adept at mimicking the texture of accuracy. We are seeing marketers and product managers query general-purpose LLMs for live traffic numbers, competitor conversion metrics, ad auction benchmarks, you name it.
And the model just delivers fabricated data that masquerades perfectly as reality.
Yes, and the human operator just copies and pastes it into a spreadsheet without a second thought.
It's wild. We used to talk about vanity metrics back in the Web 2.0 days. But this is an entirely different beast.
Oh, completely different.
Because a vanity metric, historically, used to just be a real number that measured the wrong thing. Like, you might have 10 million page views, but if none of them convert, it's just vanity.
Right, but that 10 million was still a real event.
Exactly. Actual network requests hit a physical server somewhere. The number was real, even if the value was 0.
But this new phenomenon is vastly worse.
Yeah.
because you aren't measuring the wrong thing. You are measuring nothing at all.
Yeah.
The sources refer to it as confident fiction wearing a spreadsheet. You are quite literally building a strategy on a ghost.
Confident fiction wearing a spreadsheet. That is such a good way to put it. It reminds me of the early days of programmatic ad fraud around like 2015 or 2016.
Oh yeah, the bot traffic era.
Exactly. We used to buy millions of impressions thinking they were human eyeballs simply because the reporting dashboard looked legitimate. We trusted the UI.
And we are doing the exact same thing again. But this time, we're literally generating the fake numbers ourselves using predictive text.
Yeah, and we fall for it because of what the sources call the eye test.
The eye test, right.
Our brains use heuristic cues to evaluate trustworthiness. If a document has misspellings or, chaotic formatting, your brain flags it immediately.
You look at it and go, something's not right here.
Right. But an LLM renders a perfect markdown table. It uses flawless syntax. And because it passes that visual eye test, human skepticism is just entirely bypassed.
And honestly, why do you think so many smart people are falling for this? These are highly educated professionals making these mistakes.
Well, think about it like a confidently wrong friend giving you driving directions.
Okay, I like that.
Imagine you're lost and your friend says, oh yeah, you just take the next left, go exactly 2.4 miles, and it's the big red brick building on the right. They say it with absolute, unwavering certainty.
And you just trust them.
You completely trust them. You trust them because of their tone, not their actual geographical knowledge. You don't ask to see a map because they sounded so sure of themselves.
There's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You trust the delivery, so you assume the underlying facts are sound.
Exactly.
And to understand why the AI sounds so confident when it's just completely wrong, we have to look under the hood at the technical root cause.
Let's do it. Let's get into the architecture.
So that visual polish we just talked about,
Mhm.
it masks a fundamental misunderstanding of the technology itself. General-purpose LLMs, the massive foundational models you interact with through standard chat interfaces, they do not possess direct native access to live SEO databases.
Right. They aren't plugged into real-time website analytics or live ad auction platforms.
No, they are not. They are, at their core, autoregressive predictive text engines.
So what does that actually mean in practice?
It means they map the latent space of human language based on their training weights. They are cognitive reasoning engines designed to predict the next most statistically plausible token.
Token by token.
Exactly. They are not live ledgers. Think about a traditional SQL database. When you query in SQL database for a row that doesn't exist, what happens?
It returns an explicit error.
Right. It gives you a null value. It stops. It says, I don't have this.
But an LLM physically cannot return a null value in that way, can it?
No, because it is optimizing for linguistic coherence, not factual grounding.
It's essentially a highly sophisticated improv actor.
Well, I love that.
Yeah, you give it a scene like, act as an expert SEO analyst, and it basically says yes, and it just leans into the role completely.
That is a perfect way to conceptualize it.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask it for a keyword volume for a specific niche software, it analyzes the semantic pattern of how keyword volumes are usually discussed in marketing literature.
Right, it knows what a marketing report is supposed to look like.
Yes. It notes that such numbers are often specific, maybe they usually fall in the low 5 figures, so it samples its probability distribution and just manufactures a plausible-sounding figure.
Like 14,800.
Exactly, like 14,800. It is literally predicting what a spreadsheet should look like, rather than retrieving what a spreadsheet actually contains.
Wow. And that fundamental disconnect has led to an absolute epidemic of these hallucinated dashboards.
It's everywhere.
Because these generative AI tools have driven the marginal cost of content creation down to basically zero. The mass production of these hallucinated reports is completely frictionless now.
You can generate a 50-page competitive analysis with charts, graphs, and traffic estimates in, 3 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. And it looks beautiful. But wait, let me act as a proxy for the listener here for a second.
Sure.
If AI is supposed to be this super intelligent system, this revolutionary technology, why doesn't it just tap into the live data automatically? Why is there this massive disconnect?
What's fascinating here is that the architecture of a general LLM is fundamentally different from a connected AI agent.
Okay, break that down for me.
A general model is trained on a static snapshot of the internet. It has a cutoff date. It isn't constantly pinging external servers to update its internal weights in real time.
So it's essentially locked in a room with a massive library of books, but no internet connection.
Right, and To get it to act like it has an internet connection, you have to build specific deterministic data pipelines to feed it live information. If you don't build those pipes, it just guesses based on the books in its room.
And this technical limitation, it isn't just an isolated bug for prompt engineers to worry about. It's actively forcing the entire industry to pivot.
Yes, it is driving a massive macro-level shift in how businesses operate.
Which brings us to the macro view of 2025 versus 2026. The sources highlight this pivotal industry shift, and they say it plainly. 2025 was the era of AI agents. 2026 will be the era of AI organizations.
That is the defining transition of this year. We are transitioning from a chaotic, fragmented approach to a highly structured one.
Let's contextualize that,
Yeah.
because the 2025 agent gold rush was just wild.
It was the Wild West. Everyone was deploying automated agents to do specific tasks.
Yeah, you had cold outreach agents, programmatic SEO agents, autonomous research agents, but most of those agents were fundamentally flawed.
Because they were just basic Python wrappers around general LLMs with some prompt chaining.
Exactly. They completely lacked deterministic data pipelines, which meant they were out there hallucinating at an industrial scale.
And the fallout from that era is highly visible right now. You can see it in the community discourse across the industry.
Oh, absolutely. The market is currently experiencing severe AI fatigue among marketers and operators.
Look at the developer forums and operations subreddits in recent months. The fatigue is palpable. But it's crucial to define what that fatigue actually is.
Right.
People aren't tired of the concept of artificial intelligence. They still want the efficiency.
Yeah, they aren't rejecting the technology itself.
No, they are tired of the noise. They are tired of the cleanup. They are exhausted by the unverified automation toxicity.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I saw some Reddit discussion titles in the source material that just perfectly highlight this industry anxiety.
Oh, the Reddit threads are a gold mine for understanding where the market sentiment actually is.
Totally. One thread was titled, "Is a serious AI automation agency still worth building in 2026? Honest answers only."
Honest answers only. You can hear the sheer exhaustion in that caveat.
You really can. And another one was, "What I'm changing in 2026 after running an AI automation agency in 2025.
It's the sound of technical founders realizing that the parlor trick doesn't sustain a business model anymore.
Exactly. Anyone can spin up an agent that writes text. The competitive moat has entirely shifted.
And that shift is exactly the difference between an agent and an organization.
Break that difference down for us.
Well, an agent is an isolated tool executing a task. And without guardrails, it will prioritize task completion over factual accuracy. It just wants to give you an answer.
Even if it has to invent the answer.
Exactly. An AI organization, conversely, is a highly structured environment where these generative tools are strictly governed by deterministic data pipelines.
So it's not just a free-for-all.
Not at all. The AI operates within a rigorous system of role-based access controls and verifiable data retrieval.
The value isn't in the generation anymore. It's in how securely and accurately that AI is integrated into verifiable business truth.
And to survive this shift, to actually become a true AI organization, companies must master one specific technical distinction.
Which leads directly into the absolute core focus of our deep dive today. We need to talk about the hard separation of insight generation from raw data retrieval.
This is the non-negotiable framework for any enterprise operating in 2026. You must explicitly separate the cognitive layer from the factual layer.
Okay, let's break this down piece by piece. Let's start with data retrieval.
Data retrieval must be handled exclusively by deterministic systems of record. These are the specialized tools built specifically to measure reality.
The sources explicitly name tools like Google Analytics 4, Search Console, SEMrush, Answer the Public.
Yes, or your internal Snowflake data warehouse. These are systems that don't guess. They count.
They record actual events.
Exactly. Data retrieval is binary. It is factual. It requires explicit API handshakes and network requests. When your internal analytics tool says you had 1,200 unique visitors, that represents 1,200 verified network requests hitting a physical server somewhere.
It is a verifiable truth. That is step one. Retrieve the truth.
Then we move to step 2, insight generation. And this is where the large language model finally enters the pipeline.
Right. This is where you leverage the cognitive, pattern matching, and synthesis power of the transformer model.
Yes. You use it for interpreting the data, crafting messaging, scenario planning, strategic modeling, all of that higher order thinking.
But, and this is the critical part, you only allow the model to reason over the verified data you pulled in step 1.
That is the whole ball game. Mixing the two, relying on the LLM to both retrieve the metric from its latent space and analyze it, is the exact mechanism that causes hallucinations.
So the vital tech stack evolution right now is building these internal connectors.
Building internal connectors so your AI agents can read from your metrics, not guess about them. You are building secure API bridges between your deterministic systems of record and your generative AI instances.
I love that. The ultimate communication strategy and internal mantra has to be AI is here to reason over our data, not replace it.
Reason over our data, not replace it. I tell every engineering team I work with to put that on a plaque.
So what does this all mean in practical terms? Let me try out an analogy here.
Go for it.
It's like a world-class chef and their ingredients. You don't ask the chef to magically spawn a tomato out of thin air.
Right, because if you do, they're going to hand you a plastic tomato.
Exactly. That's how you get a plastic tomato. You go to the garden, which is GA4 or SEMrush, to retrieve the real tomato. That's data retrieval.
The raw ingredient.
Yes. And then you hand that real tomato to the chef, the LLM, and ask them to generate a brilliant sauce. That's insight generation and scenario planning.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal analogy. It perfectly encapsulates the workflow. You separate the sourcing of the ingredients from the cooking process.
I was also thinking about a courtroom.
Oh, a courtroom. How so?
Well, the LLM is your lead trial lawyer. Brilliant at synthesis, incredible at arguing the case, and just unmatched at finding patterns in the evidence.
Okay, I track.
But you do not let the lawyer manufacture the forensic evidence. The evidence has to come from the lab, your deterministic systems. You hand the verified lab report to the lawyer and say, reason over this.
Yes. Because the moment the lawyer starts inventing DNA results, you have a mistrial.
Exactly. You separate the retrieval of the evidence from the synthesis of the argument.
Both analogies work perfectly. And while this sounds great in theory, the sources demand immediate practical action to institutionalize this rule.
Yeah, we can't just philosophize about this. We have to move into the immediate execution phase.
Because companies are stumbling hard on the execution.
So what is the new institutional rule that organizations need to adopt right now?
It has to be a strict, non-negotiable mandate. No strategy decision is made on AI-generated numbers without parallel verification from a system of record, period.
No exceptions.
None. And to enforce that mandate, the sources provide an immediate ROI and execution plan for the listener.
Your homework for the next 48 hours.
Yes, the 48-hour execution plan. We want you to audit one recent strategic decision your team made, like a content bet or a channel strategy that relied heavily on AI-provided numbers.
Find that one slide deck that everyone cheered for last month.
Exactly. Take that original AI analysis and force your team to rerun the exact same query using real analytics and SEO inputs. Go pull the actual server logs, get the hard numbers from deterministic tools.
And then you compare the two data sets. Lay them side by side.
Yes. You compare the AI's projected reality versus the verified reality, and you share that gap internally as a cautionary case study.
Finding the gap between hallucinated confidence and verified reality, that is the whole point of the exercise.
And the sources claim that this audit will result in the most honest meeting your team has this quarter.
The most honest meeting. I love that phrasing. Why do you think it has such a profound impact?
Because it is a brutal moment of reckoning. When a team stares at a spreadsheet and realizes the foundational premise of their roadmap was entirely hallucinated by a predictive text engine, it shatters the illusion.
It breaks the spell of the polished markdown table.
Yes. It forces a massive cultural reset away from lazy, passive reliance on AI output toward an active, rigorous culture of verification.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second here, because I can hear managers and RevOps leaders groaning right now. Isn't this adding a massive bottleneck?
It's the first complaint everyone makes.
Right. If we deployed AI to reduce our time to insight from 3 weeks to 3 minutes, but now we have to manually verify everything through GA4 and build custom internal connectors, aren't we losing the speed that AI promised in the first place?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to realize that speed in the wrong direction is just a faster way to burn a budget.
Oh, that's a great point.
Running a massive go-to-market campaign based on a hallucinated search volume of 14,800 might allow you to launch 2 weeks earlier. But it guarantees a 0% return on investment because the audience physically does not exist.
Right, you're just accelerating toward a brick wall.
Exactly. True velocity requires a solid foundation of verified numbers. The pushback about bottlenecks fundamentally misunderstands the difference between technical debt and factual debt.
Factual debt. I haven't heard that term used quite like that before.
Technical debt is messy code that you can refactor later. Factual debt is basing your business model on a lie. Factual debt will bankrupt a company far faster than technical debt ever will.
So taking the time to build those internal connectors isn't slowing you down.
No, it's building the highway infrastructure that allows you to drive fast safely next quarter.
That makes total sense. Being a little contrarian about AI output right now is genuinely the only way to actually benefit from it long term. You have to be the person in the boardroom who points at the beautifully rendered chart and demands to see the API logs that generated it.
You must protect the integrity of your data pipeline. Without it, insight generation isn't just useless, it's actively deceptive.
Wow. Okay, let's briefly recap the journey we've been on today.
It's been a deep one.
It really has. We started with the danger of confident fiction and those terrifying hallucinated dashboards. We looked at the technical reality of why general LLMs fail at live data because they are predictive text engines, not live ledgers.
Right.
And we broke down the crucial, mandatory separation of the chef, the insight generation from the ingredients, the raw data retrieval via tools like SEMrush and GA4.
You have to separate the trial lawyer from the forensic lab.
Exactly. So to you, the listener, here's a reminder of your 48-hour homework. Go find that one recent strategic AI-assisted decision and stress test it against reality.
Do the audit.
Run the numbers through your deterministic systems. I challenge you. What is the most confidently wrong number you'll catch your AI serving up?
Hold that honest meeting.
Yes, hold the meeting. Now, before we wrap up, let's look ahead. Give us one last thought to mull over that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, let's project forward a bit.
Oh.
Right now, we are dealing with a crisis of hallucinated data. But what happens if we fix it?
If everyone successfully builds perfect internal connectors.
Exactly. If every company builds perfect pipelines and everyone's AI is successfully reasoning over perfectly verified data, then the quality of the data is no longer a competitive advantage.
Because everyone has the exact same baseline of truth, it becomes table stakes.
Yes. So will the future winners simply be the teams who know how to ask their AI the most creative, unconventional questions about that perfect data?
Wow. So when perfect data is a commodity, curiosity becomes the ultimate currency.
When you no longer have to worry about the AI lying to you, the only limitation is the quality of your interrogation.
That is a phenomenal paradigm shift to think about.
Right.
When the projector hums to life next year, it won't be about verifying if the numbers are real. It'll be about whether the strategy derived from those numbers is actually brilliant.
The bar is only going to get higher.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the sources. We wish you the absolute best of luck in building your internal connectors and scaling your AI organizations safely. Stay curious, audit your pipelines, and we'll see you next time.